I was in India a number of years ago, and I wanted to buy incense to bring back to the States. When I asked the pastor if he could take me to his shop to buy incense, he looked at me like I hadn't found Jesus and pretty much told me no. Then I realized in his culture and society, incense was used to worship in the Hindu temples. For him, incense was a huge no-no because it represented something that he left behind. I didn't carry that cultural context with me, so incense was not connected to anything but an enjoyable scent. In our divided society, there are times that we're arguing with people that are just in a different place than you. They've had different experiences. Their family background is different. They're under pressures that you aren't aware of and so many other circumstances. Paul, in the book of Romans, has this great quote. He says, "As for the one who is weak in faith, welcome him, but not to quarrel over opinions." If there's somebody in a different place than you, welcome them, but not to quarrel. Paul goes on to give examples of people that have different dietary practices based on their religious convictions. And then Paul says, God has welcomed them. Who are you to pass judgment on the servant of another? It is before his own master that they stand or fall, and they will be upheld, for the Lord is able to make them stand. Paul tells us, welcome everybody that has found Jesus. And let's not argue over opinions, because at the end of the day, we're all responsible to God. He's the one who saved us. He's the one that we answer to. He's the one that has given us the grace and mercy to stand before him in the first place. Here's the reality. I'm going to go to heaven, and God and I are going to sit down and go over my theology, what I believed about God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and how that's applied to life. And I'm guaranteeing he will say, Elliot, you got it right here, but you missed it on that one, and that one, and that one. I have degrees in Bible, and I spent a lot of time trying to get it right. And there's no way I've gotten everything right. So with that in mind, let's have grace with other people that maybe see things differently than you. In the end, we all stand before God, and he's the one who strengthens us to stand in the first place. Maybe a person's beliefs and practices are coming from a place that you cannot comprehend. You don't know their background. You don't know their history. Instead of attacking their application of biblical principles, it's often best to ask questions. How did you come to that conclusion? Tell me how you apply that. And not to argue, but to truly be inquisitive. Truth is, we're all individually responsible to God, and I can trust that he will sort all that out later. Next week, we'll dig in a little bit more on this concept in light of our larger society, but for today, let's major on the majors, and everything else we get to welcome. Why? Because in the end, you're responsible to God, and they're responsible to God. So we can let God separate out things later. Today, we're called to welcome, and that takes faith. So let's live faith first.